right, all right. Happy New Year. Aloha kakahiaka, everyone. I'm your host, Peter K, and you are in the pregame show of the Aloha Friday Hawaii Real Estate Show. Welcome, everybody. Let's warm up this bad boy here. And get my friends online here today. We're with Heidi. For those of you for the show regulars, Heidi is out sick today, and we wish her well. And I told her to make sure that she gets rest and recovers. But I am here with my buds over here. We've got. There we go. We got Dylan Nonaka here, who's actually on location in a cool spot, and we got Scott Dylan Nonaka from the Big On and Scott Startsman from Oahu. Dylan, why don't you warm us up over here? And I see a nice your background is you and Scott have competing backgrounds now. So what's going on, buddy?
Yeah, I wish it was even lighting's always an issue, right? With like doing these shows, but I'm at a $7 million no reserve auction property. It's this amazing estate. It's got 11 bedrooms. It's like 8,000 square feet under the roof. It's insane. And so I'm sitting out on a little gazebo where they got like a little yoga and meditation area. And then the ocean's back there. You can't really see it because the lighting has blown it out, but you got this beautiful garden, and then there's coffee all around it. There's an infinity pool over here to this side. I mean, and then sweeping ocean views of the Kona coastline. So amazing spot.
I'll be looking forward to seeing that, because I'm sure you'll be featuring that on our Diamonds and Deals. Before we do that, we have to give a shout out here to Jim, our buddy Jim Stevenson. Welcome back, Jim. Jim threw a quick message on a half hour ago just to get his first position back. Jim, you have reclaimed. you have reclaimed your position as the first guy in line for our group. Welcome, Jim. Welcome back to the Ohana. And we got Chris Longley. Chris, aloha kakahiaka, haole makahiki ho, everybody. For those of you that don't know, haole makahiki ho is the Hawaiian word for Happy New Year. It'd be kind of good to get like an exact translation of what that means. Like makahiki is like the makahiki festivals, like a whole bunch of festivals. Ho is like do it again. Or cycle, Happy New Year. I don't know what haole means. I'd be interested. I don't know if anyone knows what that is. Joan Valentine, a alumni of the Islander Ohana. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year, Joan. We are so glad you are here. This is so much. This is one of my favorite parts. Scott, we're going to get to you in a quick sec. This is my favorite part because I love kind of like the group all comes together again. The regulars. Tom's back. Aloha, everyone. Hope you had happy holidays. Yeah, had a fabulous Christmas. Fabulous and glorious Christmas season. Patrick Gallagher, Happy New Year from Raleigh, North Carolina. All kinds of cool icons there. You're freezing your butt off, apparently. So, Scott, we're going down our line over here for our friends. Scott, to give us the how's things going on Oahu over there? You got a nice background. What's happening?
Things are awesome. Yeah, it's a new year. I felt like it was like a month of rain, and we just kind of washed it all away, and now we got bright skies probably in the last 2 days. It was pretty heavy rain, but it's awesome. I got a new haircut. I got a new computer. We got a new year, new opportunities. The only thing that's not new is this Aloha shirt, and I may have to have Dylan send me one for next year. We'll start that for next year.
That's what being of course, guys, we're not good gift givers or good gift kind of creative side. So that would have been a good one, Scott. Like one of us should like send the other guys Aloha shirts. Maybe we can kind of do that, but
we can get the embroidery, Aloha Friday show embroidery on it.
There you go. Now we're talking. I got that cool shaka sign that one of our Islander Ohana alumni, Kelly, has put together for us. And we have, of course, Auntie Joyce, who is with us. Feliz Ano Nuovo to all. Welcome, Auntie Joyce. Thank you so much for being here. And Kinaya, one of our earliest Islander alumni members. Greetings from Austin. How are things in Austin? Kinaya, we are looking forward to your visit back to the island soon. I had the pleasure of meeting Kinaya in person at one of our Islander Ohana meetups. Tom is back. Tom, Happy New Year, Tom. Been plowing and shoveling 6 inches of snow. High 30 low tonight, 18 degrees. We didn't move soon enough. It's all right, Tom. One more winter, buddy. You too will be here. You two will be living in paradise soon. Yeah, it's good fun, right? Scott mentioned the weather. It was kind of, you know what? It's 10 o'clock. Why don't we get started? Just a perfect time. Let's roll into the show. I think we've all warmed up here correctly and properly. Say hello to a few more folks over here. There's Jessica. Hey, Jessica, welcome back. Jessica Morris, Jess and Wes. Islander Ohana alumni. We had a great time. We had a really cool thing. We got together at the Makapu Lighthouse. Makapu Lighthouse a couple of weeks ago was awesome. It was this fantastic moment we had. We saw a killer sun. We went up to on the way to Makapu Lighthouse. We stopped. We went up the hill. There's like a first place, like a resting spot. We all stopped up there and gathered. And from that point, we saw this amazing sunset. And then just a few minutes later, we saw this amazing full moon rising. It was fantastic. You know, everyone's kind of saying hi over here. So we're going to go down before we're going to delay just a little bit to say hi to everybody. And Vaishali, is it Vaishali or Vaishali Murthy, Vaishali, we had a little bit of correspondence with email. Welcome to the show, everyone. Vaishali is new. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy to be joining the show. We are glad that you're here, Vaishali. Patrick McKenna is back. Good evening from Germany. Hope things are going good in Germany. Patrick, it's great to see you again. Spencer from our hello from New York City. Welcome, Spencer. How's the weather out in New York City? How are you guys doing with COVID? And Kanaya says, just found out from Scott's email that my dream home in Ka'ava is pending for you. Is it pending for you, Kanaya? Oh no, pending. Kanaya, you know what that just means? That just means you just got to just do it again and get another one. That's what that means. Jim is back. Peter means happiness, joy, gladness, happiness, anything pleasant. Oh, very good. So Jim, thank you for Jim did the old Google search to do our Hawaiian word, and ha'oli. The Hawaiian word ha'oli is what that means: happiness, gladness, etc. So therefore, Happy New Year. Mark is back. Mark is also an alumni of the Islander Ohana. Aloha, everyone. Welcome back. Man, this is like so much fun. I'm having just a blast saying hi to everybody. Bobby is back. Bobby, another alumni of the Islander Ohana. Aloha, guys. Bobby, where are you at, buddy? Give us too bad I can't post one of your cool foodie photos.
Bobby's here on the Big Island. We got his house in escrow. A little bit of delays due to appraisal issues. Yeah, but he'll be in homeowner here soon.
Oh man, awesome! That's fantastic news. Glad to hear Bobby. Bobby was in our Islander cohort meetings. It was great. Judy's back. Judy also is an alumni. It's like the whole family's showing up for New Year's. This is so great. I really enjoy this part. And the comments are still coming. So great. Everyone's here about the Happy New Year. So Sherry is back. Sherry, aloha and Happy New Year. Happy Sherry from California just came back from the Big Island. Sherry, how was the Big Island? What did you think of it? What was your favorite place? And there's Kelly Hobby, who was the one that the artist behind the Shaka logo. Welcome back, Holly, also a Islander Ohana alumni. And Jim, no Google, I'm learning Hawaiian. Awesome, man. Jim, I am impressed. I need to hear your Hawaiian next time, buddy. That's going to be your graduation access. All right, look, I got to get going over here for guys. Travis, Aloha lived on Oahu for 4 years, looking to retire on the Big Island in 9 years. Well, Travis, you're in the right place because you're hanging out with the best of the best over here. My good friends Dylan who's on the Big Island right now, and Scott, who's on Oahu. All right, let's get this party started over here. I got some fun news to kind of share with you all. So let's roll over here. Okay, so first of all, Happy New Year, everybody. This is our first show of the new year, and I'm totally stoked that everybody's here. A couple of fun things going on. So Maui has, if you're going to be going to Maui and you're going to be going to indoor restaurants, you got to have your booster shot. So the Maui County will require people eligible for booster shots to get them to be considered fully vaccinated. So in Maui, if you're going indoors or there's a fully vaccinated requirement, you got to have your booster shot. So that means you got to plan your trip, just like, I mean, no matter where you're going these days, you got to plan your trip, right? I mean, my wife and I were thinking about going on a cruise, and then we got all the stuff about cruises that are put on hold and not going on. It's a mess. Speaking of cruises, cruises may be returning to Hawaii. It looks like it's a signal. Hasn't started yet, but the Hawaii Department of Transportation has signed port agreements with cruise liners with new rules of COVID and all that kind of stuff. So it's a sign. Cruise ships ain't lining up just yet, but it's a sign. By the way, the Hawaii cruise, I've done it several times. It's really awesome. It is phenomenal. You get on a 7-day cruise. You go to all the islands. You do activities. There's great activities on each of the islands. It's a fantastic trip, and it's got the most amazing lava view. They bring you with this. You're at this ginormous cruise ship, and we came fairly close to where active lava was pouring into the ocean. It was absolutely amazing because the water's pretty deep off of there. Okay, Honolulu, we're getting if you look at the graph over here, let me pull this up here. So you look at the graph over here, gang. We too are getting whacked by COVID. It's just insane, the numbers compared to previous numbers of cases. So you look at the tail end of that graph on top here, the number of cases, and it's like spiking big time. Like we're hitting, like, I think yesterday we had like 4,000 cases, which if you look at historically, that's just an insane number. Thankfully, though, we'll see so far, but like everywhere else around the world, that doesn't seem that hospital cases and fatalities are falling. Thank goodness. That being said, Honolulu did put on a cap. I don't know if this is going to affect many things, but it's a cap. If there is an event of over 1,000 people, they're bringing it down to a 50% capacity. Everything else is unchanged. So that's kind of like a plus and minus. And finally, we're number 3. We're one of the. This is nothing to brag about, but this is an important topic. We are the top one in the top 3 exodus states in the country. I believe the in New York, it's Illinois, New York. I think it's Illinois, New York, and Hawaii are the top 3 states where, as a percentage, a per capita percentage of the population, people are leaving the state. Yes, people are net leaving the state. This is why we have the Islander Ohana, because we don't want that to happen to you. If Hawaii is right for you, we're going to figure out a way to make it right. If it's not right for you, figure it out ahead of time so you can save yourself the agony. But that is a statistic. And as Scott had mentioned, if you look over here, I got some weather. We had some really nasty weather the past week. It was unfortunately, I had some family that was visiting us, and of course they came at the beginning of the rainy at the beginning of this 2 weeks of rain, and of course they had a 2-week vacation, so they left. But they were good troopers. They managed to get themselves out anyway. So, all right, everybody. So that's the quick update. So why don't we do? You know what? Let's kind of blend a couple of things in here. Well, first of all, is there any kind of? There's an important real estate topic that we're going to bring up, and we're going to talk about that. But before we do that, is there any kind of news that you guys want to bring up? Non-real estate news, Dylan. Why don't we go clockwise? Let's go, Dylan, and then Scott. Any real estate news? No, non-real estate news you have that's happened over the past few weeks that's notable, Big Island and then Oahu. Dylan, go ahead.
Yeah, the biggest news was the storm. I mean, that was something that caused island-wide, there was a lot of issues, but in Kona in particular, because I always brag on the show, we have like the best weather in the whole world. And so we don't ever get really windy weather in Kona. But when those winds came through, because we don't have normal windy weather, there's massive damage. So trees fell all over the place, telephone poles went down. There was a lot of destruction after a couple of days of wind. But surprisingly enough, the public utilities were back on in most places, within a few 10 hours, 12 hours, some places, really rural areas, there was out, a day or two, but really impressed by the power company and the public utilities getting everything back online. But it was a little bit traumatic there for a couple of days, but that's like once every 10 years we get a storm like that scoops up underneath the islands and then comes up along the west side, because normally that stuff gets blocked by Mauna Loa on the, it stays on the east side of the island or goes around.
Yeah, these winds, as you mentioned, were coming. They're Kona winds, meaning they're coming out of the south. They normally come out of the northeast. These were coming out of the southwest, southeast, southwest, and so the different sides of the house got wet. Parts that normally never get wet. That were like soaking. Scott, how did you fare through the storms, and what other kind of things you want to report on as far as Oahu goes?
Yeah, I was amazed at the storms because it wasn't just rain, it was coming down in buckets. And I even just walked like I ran 20 yards to get to my car one day to go on an appointment. By the time I got to my car, I was completely soaked from head to toe. So it's just a massive amount of rain all at kind of one time, and it would come in spurts and in waves, and it went on for about a month. It's interesting because I had an aha moment. The last show that you guys had, I was actually in Portland. And Portland's known, especially this time of year, for wet, cold weather. And it was interesting because it was in the 30s and it was raining heavier than that kind of Pacific Northwest misty kind of style. And I was fine with it in the beginning because it was a change of scenery, change of pace. I was layered in thermals because I can't handle 30 to 40 degree temperatures. I'm all layered up. Then you got the jacket, I got the beanie on, I got the gloves on. And by day 4, I was over it. I loved my trip to Portland, but I was just like, oh my God, I'm tired. It's exhausting putting on that much, wearing it, and then trying to go out. I felt like I was wanting to be more sedentary at that point. And when I landed back here and came home and it was raining, the first thing I wanted to do, shirt and shorts, and that was it. And it felt so amazing. And it just made me really appreciate the weather that we have here all year round. Even with the rain, I'm totally comfortable here. Fine, let it rain outside. I don't care. I'm totally comfortable, you know, in this environment, and it made it still enjoyable. It didn't feel like I was stuck indoors still.
You know, it is absolutely remarkable that one thing we so take for granted, which is the weather, right? And, you know, it's not like, oh, it's just the weather. No, it's something that you live with every single minute of every single day. Every single minute of every single day is the one thing that you are always with. You're always in the atmosphere. And I'm with you, Scott. I'm with you, buddy. Hey, folks, how about you? You got any, who out there is like, I can't handle the cold? And that's me. So who else is out there? Throw it on in the comments. I want to hear about it. Kelly, no sun for 2 weeks, not so good for off-grid upgrading system now. You know, Kelly, that's a very good point. I'm not off-grid, but we did implement a battery-based solar system, etc. So we can kind of, for the most part, live off the grid. But you know what, Kelly? Solar panels don't do so hot when there's no sun. They don't work. In fact, they don't work at all. And we had to pull power from the grid. Now, we're not off grid. We pull power from the grid. But if you're going to be doing an upgrade, like Dylan said, this is a once in a 10-year, Scott, right? This is like a once in a 10-year thing. I was telling to, so it's kind of funny. I was telling new members of the Islander Ohana who moved to Oahu at our gathering at Makapu'u Lives. We're talking about that. And I told them on our private Facebook group, I said, hey, gang, this is not a normal winter. This is not a normal winter for Hawaii. It's once in a 10-year deal. So, Kelly, you could do it. You could do your upgrade, but you're going to be doing it sort of a once in a 10-year thing. Scott, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, you might be the one that we blame for this rain, because you were the show before it started raining. You said, "Oh, this is an odd winter. It's been kind of dry," and then all of a sudden we got rain for a month. So either I brought it back from Portland, or you created it.
Somebody did, man. Somebody jinxed it. Yes, I was saying it was an unseasonably dry and warm fall, but it is now an unseasonably cold and wet winter. So I guess that's the way it kind of goes, right? Let's see who's got a couple of comments over here. Yeah, Joan says, "Yeah, I'll take the rain over snow." Yeah, Joan, I'm with you. I will take, Joan. How about this? I will take sunny tropical weather over anything, even over rain or snow. We got it. And then Christopher, my wife and I are getting tired of the cold winter for sure. Yeah, Christopher, I can't do it. I can't do it. Judy, me freezing here in Colorado. It was -4 the other morning. Judy, I'm from the Midwest, from Chicago, and we say -4. We're washing our cars at -4. Piece of cake. You want -50 with the wind chill when you're in Chicago. And Sherry, I totally agree with Scott regarding the cold weather. That's why my husband and I like Hawaii one season. We're living in Southern California, which has 2 seasons. Southern Cali, you're not going wrong with that. Joyce, totally solar, and Chris, watching uses daily. It is what it is. Yeah, I mean, we try to do it, but we still need base load power. Base load power is that power that's going to come no matter what. I made a Facebook post about that. And totally over the wacky Texas weather. It was 29 degrees this morning, but we had record-breaking Christmas Day. Yeah, it's one of those things. Portland, more rain and fun times. Candace, my heart goes out to you. Hopefully you'll survive the rain and flooding. It's not fun. But actually today is a gorgeous, drop dead gorgeous day. Of course, once the family goes back to the mainland, the weather goes back. It's fantastic. Tom says we're lucky if it's only 2 weeks without the sun here in UK. Yeah, well, there you go, buddy. I think there you go. My car doors got frozen shut. Okay, Judy, I think, yeah, that's I had one time, Judy, when it was so cold that my engine wouldn't turn over, and it was not because my battery was dead or weak. The battery was fine, but because the oil had frozen over. I was using kind of a higher viscosity oil. The oil had frozen over, and the motor was not turning over. All right, gang. So let's get on to our other topic over here that I've been waiting to talk about. Record-breaking heat. Well, you go from a record-breaking cold to a record-breaking heat. That's the way it is, right, in Texas. There's an old saying in Chicago: if you don't like the weather, just wait, it's going to change. All right, and on the real estate market side, there's a topic I kind of wanted to hone in on that came in, and we'll use this as the basis for our discussion here, which was from Adam, who's in Rainier, Washington. Presumably, he's also suffering from the rain right now. Adam, I hope that you're here, but you put a great question to us, and the question is, when will the market begin to chill out? Or will it take several years while supply catches up with demand? Now, we've had this question a variety of ways, but I thought it was a good one because We had a kind of an offline conversation before the show between Scott and Dylan and Heidi about the market. So why don't we kind of roll that one in? Let's go counterclockwise. Scott, give us an update on, and went through anything about what's going on Oahu, but, let's kind of hit this one. When will the market chill out? Will supply catch up with demand? Will it take several years? What's your take on this, Scott?
Yeah, so let me give you a quick market update. We actually just got the market stats last night. So I was digging in through that. And so I was able to look at the entire year, which was good. And man, I mean, it's amazing. We got on that text thread last night. I hit Dylan and Heidi and Peter up and was like, hey man, this is what I'm seeing over here. What you got? And it was a fun little conversation we had via text message to kind of understand the differences in the island. But for Oahu, nothing has changed. There's three main points that you got to get out of Oahu here. Our median home price is $1,050,000. That's pretty much been steady for the last couple of months doing that. Condo prices are at median prices about $485,000. But the three big things are there's record low inventory. There's still a lot of buyers in the market. So heavy demand, low supply, and the speed of sale is at record pace too. So they're moving quickly, which is, let's see, 2 out of 3 homes are selling for more than the list price. 4 out of 10 condos are selling for more than the list price. So the main thing you got to understand here is if you're a seller, great time to sell. Call me up. Let's talk strategy, because you'll do really well in this market. If you're a buyer, you better be prepared. You need to get your ducks in a row. You need to have a strategy, especially in this market, and be working with the right people. Expect competition, expect that you're probably going to have to be paying over market price, and keep an eye on interest rates because they're starting to creep up. But the crazy thing is we were trending at number of active listings for homes at around 430 to 450. The holiday months dried that up even more. I think we're at like 315 homes actively on the market right now. Now that's going to speed up now that we get in the new year, but that's ridiculously low. It's half what we were at the height of the last market in 2006. So there's just very little inventory and a lot of buyers in the market.
I mean, that number, Dylan's going to give us some real context of that number of 300, really going to help us out with it. But just think about this. At just a armchair clueless guy level like me, 300 listings. I mean, there's 300 homes for sale in an urban area of 1 million people. Mm-hmm. 1 million people, 300. That's the context. Dylan, give us some more context, and how do you respond to that question that, when will the market chill out? So now what's going to be interesting before Dylan is going to be how the interest rates are going to curb that back, right? Because interest rates by definition will be raising prices. But anyway, so Dylan, what's going on the Big Island, and what's your take on when the market's going to chill? What's been happening?
Same as everywhere else. It is not chilling out at all. But for context, this is interesting, right? Less than 400 homes on Oahu available. There are 406 homes, give or take, around 400 any given day on the Big Island. So we have more homes on the Big Island with 20% the population that Oahu has. And so it's crazy for us, but it's even crazier to think about that, putting that into perspective with Oahu. We only have 54 condos on the market right now, and that's usually in the 300 range. And so context-wise, there's usually over 1,000 homes on the market. So we're extremely low inventory. That has continued. We saw at the latter part of last year, inventory go up a little bit, but it's pretty much bumped up a little bit and then stayed kind of around 400, 450 for homes any given time. And those include a lot of, we have our funky market in Kona, the rural areas where there are unpermitted homes and things like that. So that's not even really representative of like actual homes. And then there's also, we have that super high-end luxury market where you're talking like 5 million plus, and a big chunk of those, 25 of those homes are in that market. So the regular home market is extremely constrained. On any given day in the Kona market, there's less than 10, sometimes there's 6 homes on the market that are under $1 million. So I don't know when, we were talking about supply catching up with demand. The only real supply we have on the Big Island anyway is resale, right? We have very little new development outside of the luxury market. And so the only way you're going to have more supply is if more people start putting their homes on the market. And if people don't decide not to do that, and they're just going to sit in their homes and they don't want to move, I don't know when that supply catches back up. And we're so far behind right now. It literally could take years, unless there's some crazy catastrophe in the economy or something, which nobody can predict. But under normal circumstances, going forward, I don't see any end in sight right now.
So here's the funny part. Here's the in your on your catastrophe thing, I was just talking
like
about
a plague, like a plague. If there's a plague,
like a plague, you mean like a crazy virus that makes everybody sick and like shuts down the whole economy, or like around the world, and everything comes to a grinding halt? Then no, that's the part. See, that's the part. Yeah. The part is that, and there's a story here that Hawaii is reporting that they're going to have record tax receipts, like something $8 billion in tax receipts or something like that. The most they've ever gotten. It's projected for 2022. And my point was like, man, if we could bounce back that fast after basically an asteroid hitting the planet, essentially, right, with this thing, Dylan, I don't think that it can. A catastrophic world event. I mean, this is really bringing up something very interesting, right? This is really bringing up a very interesting aspect about perhaps Hawaii, but it's been going on the mainland too. I don't know, Scott. I mean, what do you think? I mean, here the interest rates going up is going to have some effect. It's going to have some effect. It's going to maybe taper off pricing. Go ahead, Scott.
Here's the problem with that in the short run, and here's where I see this. And Dylan's mentioned this before, and we're all on the same mindset of this. Is like, if the state is not going to allow more development, to open up more development lands, because I think, if Dylan can correct me on this, but I think you mentioned it's like 5% of the state's land is actually developed, and a lot of it is preservation conservation land that's untouchable. So we either have to open up more new construction supply, or we have that resale issue. So we have a supply demand issue. We're either going to have to increase the supply, which that's not, you got to do it by a ton for the demand that's here, or something has the effect of demand side. Interest rates will do it. But what my thought is, and I'm seeing this, I had 7 buyer appointments last week. I have 4 this week, which is not normal for this time of the year. Usually it's a little slower. I think people are going to see, one, prices have gone up. They're going to continue to go up. I expect them to go up 20% this year because of where we are on the inventory side. Oh, and interest rates are going to go up too. I better get in now. So I actually think the interest rates moving up will force more people to move in now rather than wait.
I see what you're saying.
At least in the short run, right?
In the short run, the threat, in other words, the threat of interest rates going up is like, boy, if you're going to buy now, you better do it.
You're going to get a double whammy. Prices are going to be higher. Your interest rate's going to be higher if you wait. And if you're getting a mortgage, it's going to cost you more in the monthly payment. And people buy based on the monthly payment. They buy based on cash flow.
That's a really good point. It's almost like, basically what I'm getting out of this is that the threat, so to speak, or the forecast. Well, the market is already pricing in the increase in interest rates. You saw that with the sell-off. Is basically telling everyone, hey, look, prices are guaranteed to go up. They're guaranteed. It's guaranteed to be more expensive for you to own that home. Guaranteed. So you're going to have to make a decision. Tom put up a good question. Has the Exodus state result translated to more inventory or not so much? No.
So when that popped up, when you said that we're the third biggest exodus, I'm going, well, there are not any more homes on the market for sale. So who are these people that are moving? Are they renters?
Good question. It didn't give an analysis. It just basically said that we're the and Tom,
to put that in context, I think what they're saying is, because we did have over the last 10 years a net increase in population, but everywhere there's a net increase in population. It's a matter of how big is your net, right? And in terms of our population growth, we have the largest amount of people leaving because we're not replacing them with new kids, right? Is basically what's happening. So birth rates are down and people move away. There is a net increase over time. Like we added 150,000 people over the last 10 years, but that's much slower in comparison to other states.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of mixed things on that. So then you are correct. I mean, there has been a net increase, right? When I moved here nearly 40 years ago, the population was like about 1 million. I think now it's like 1.4, 1.3, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so there has been an increase just on raw numbers. However, in the last few years, not like, I think the last 3 years or something, we've had a net population drop, which is the first time it's ever occurred. But that's very, 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 very recent. It used to be where the birth rate would offset the exodus part. It used to be that the birth rate, but that's kind of changing as well. So yeah, but Tom, I think the exodus result. I think the other part about these, this is not the first time that this has been occurring. We've been like in the top 3 exodus for the past few years. So, that's already been sort of like priced into the model. Sherry's got a theory here. More second home buyers. Could be, Sherry. Could be. I mean, there's going to be, what's interesting is that there's going to be some legislation. I think it's already, well, they've been rumored. Scott would know. Scott, isn't there something going on about, besides just the vacation rental part, there's going to also be, there's talk of having a different real estate tax for an unoccupied home. There's a lot of condos in Kaka'ako, if I'm not mistaken, which is the urban area of Honolulu, that are gorgeous multi-million-dollar condos, but they're empty and they're not even being rented. Scott, you want to throw anything on that?
Yeah, I'm hoping that one doesn't get passed through either, because the rationale behind it was, hey, we need more affordable housing. I'm like, okay, so that $6 million YA condo that's sitting vacant is going to become affordable housing? No, it's a money grab. And every time they go for the tax side over here, who are you going to go after? It's the non-voting base, which is the off-island second home buyer, right? Or second home owner.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to go on with that. Tom said,
and it goes back to, right, that's one of those things. How do you enforce that? Are you going to have, is the county department of taxation going to go have police that's going to go and knock on people's doors and see if they're actually living there or not? I mean, it's just like one of those things where it's such a crazy idea where it's totally unenforceable. So,
and the funny part is,
it's like the vacation rental law. What I'm seeing now is, now that it's been in effect for a couple of years, people are just disregarding it. And they're just going back to putting their stuff on Airbnb and taking the chance, because they know there's nobody enforcing it. And unless somebody directly complains about them, nobody ever knows that they're vacation renting it. So,
I'll tell you, and that's, but look, I can give you a direct experience. I was the chair of a neighborhood board for East Oahu, and so I saw these things coming before the board, and we had several cases where blatant violation. I mean, just beyond the pale violation of occupancy laws, vacation rental laws, etc. Blatant violation, and the back then there was zero enforcement. Absolutely zero enforcement. It's beyond ridiculous. So if that continues, people are just going to shy away from the whole thing. And Joan brings up the one of the big core issues in Kaka'ako. They keep putting up more big buildings, much to my dismay. How are they getting the okay to do that? Well, Joan, right off the bat, there's a process, there's a permitting. It's extraordinarily extensive, and it takes decades to get a permit. So it's legal. But Joan brings up the issue, which is the overall conflict. What do we want? Do we want more affordable housing, or do we want less homes? If you can't have them both, Dylan, you've said this many, many times, right? You can't have both. You can't have more affordable homes and have less homes on the market. Those are unless you're going to somehow defy the laws of physics. We all got
to. And the short answer to that question is money. When you're a developer that wants to build multi-million-dollar homes, guess who you got money to give away to? The guys who make the decisions on whether or not you can build high-rise condos. So with enough money, you can do anything.
So the answer to Joan's question, how are they getting the okay to do that? Because they're writing big checks. That's how they're getting the okay to do that, Joan. They're writing big checks. And those big checks, which is why housing is so expensive, because all that cost is built in. It's not just the cost of bribes, so to speak. Not that anyone's bribing. I'm not accusing them of bribes, but the political
and it's not just the direct contributions. It's the overall political structure, right? Like, who builds those condos? Union construction workers, right? Who holds a lot of power in political circles? Union bosses. And so there's it's a cycle, right? That you have to support the economy, and those people pay taxes. And so there's a lot of incentive to allow people to do that, especially if they're going to be spending a lot of money. Those aren't cheap condos to put up. Those are really high-end condos that need skilled workers and high quality materials. So,
and all that gets built in.
Money's always the answer.
All that gets built into the cost. Yeah. And so, Joan, none of these are affordable. No, Joan, some are. There is some mandates of affordable. There is a Scott, you want to speak to that at all about the affordable housing thing on that?
Yeah, I mean, Ulana right now for Ward Village. So Ward Village is the 60-acre master plan community. So I've kind of written about it, and it's on my website. But they're taking, so for every tower that gets built, you have to have a certain number that are dedicated to reserve housing or affordable housing. And Ward is basically moving all those credits into certain particular buildings where they're all that. Ulana, which is the next one that's going to be released, they're actually taking their applications through the end of this month. So if anybody needs help, I can help with that. That's all reserve housing, affordable housing. Right in Kaka'ako, there's another tower that just announced 2 days ago that they're starting to take the affordable housing applications. There's another one back in Ala Moana that's being built that a certain percentage of them, they're getting ready to release their affordable housing component. So they do blend it, and there are some requirements. It's not all luxury luxury units.
So let me comment on that too, though. This is an issue with these government mandated affordable housing projects, because we deal with that here on the Big Island too. If you want to do like a luxury development, you have to do affordable housing credits. There's stuff in the county code that requires that. And what we're seeing people run into right now, especially in this market, is if you bought into one of those maybe 5 years ago, you have all these deed restrictions on resale, on how much profit you can make and how much you can resell it for. And if not, you got to put it back into the pool. There's all of these things. So you're really doing people a disservice in terms of the American dream of home ownership, because you buy into this thing and you're not going to benefit from the appreciation that you got. You're paying a mortgage like you would a regular house, and you have ownership, but how are you supposed to upgrade if now your family has grown or you want to move or whatever it is? And if you want to move away to a different market, you cannot sell your house here, your affordable house that you bought because of the restrictions, cash out on the equity and then transfer that into an upgrade or your next property. And so there's problems with it too when they do implement those programs.
There's always, in the words of my favorite economist that I got introduced to when I was in high school, Milton Friedman, there's no such thing as a free lunch. There's always a price to pay. It's always a compromise. It's always trade-offs. You can't do one thing without having an effect.
But back to the prices and the increase in the market. I've had this conversation. I had this aha moment this week where I was talking to some past clients that had bought 6 months ago that felt like it was the height of the market, and now they think they're a genius because they got 10% equity in their house in 6 months, right? So I think with real estate, you always feel like you're buying at the height of the market until a week later when you're not at the height of the market anymore, right? So it's one of those things where it's just a matter of perspective, whether you're thinking, I'm going to wait and save money, or the folks that bought in 2020. I mean, man, what a smart move that was to take a risk during a time when the world was shut down and falling apart and doom and gloom. And I've seen people that bought condos that literally have made 33-40% equity in 2 years. So
look, man, there was we had a lot of people saying, hey, I'm going to wait for this thing to crash. This thing is going to crash. I'm going to wait. I'm going to clean up. There's no way this thing's there's all kinds of so everyone took a risk. It's funny, Dylan, that you mentioned that though, right? So like, okay, so we've been living in our home now for 20 some odd years, right? So we bought, we bought, I forgot when, I think we bought in 98 or something like that. Well, back then, it's just and you hear the story all the time, right? So back then, this is a single family home, and we paid at that time $335,000, and
height of the market,
right?
So expensive.
And we were like, oh my God, how are we going to afford this? Man, this is like, oh my God, are we going to be able to do this and make this kind of happen? And, we kind of went through all kinds of freakouts. And, well, the median price, as Scott mentioned, the median price on Oahu is 1.1 million something. So, so that's why I think, and you guys have mentioned this a bunch of times, buy the home to live in it. If you're an investor, that's another story, but buy the home to live in it and kind of don't look at the price. Obviously you have to look at the price if you can afford it, but don't try to be a market investor timer kind of thing, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you're buying it to live in it. You're not buying it to kind of do anything else. If you're buying for an investment or vacation, you got all kinds of other spreadsheets you have to kind of deal with, and that becomes problematic. But if you're buying it to live in it, just buy the home and live in it and enjoy it. NT Joyce, any comments on supply chain? Waited almost 1 month for a toaster from California. Was told to unload with ship stuck in harbor on Oahu. My New Year's resolution, only use Amazon Prime, and sadly, we don't own any Amazon stock. I've not... The last story I saw, NT Joyce, was that there's no backing up in Honolulu Harbor. There's no backing up over there. Now, that's not to say I don't know what the backing up is from Honolulu to the Big Island. I don't know what that kind of backup is at all, but I think you said it best. Just buy from Amazon Prime and be done with it. And that's the end of it. Dylan or Scott, I don't know if you guys have gotten anything on delays. There's the normal delays, but not once it's at harbor. It's to get here, but once it's here, it's fine.
Yeah, I haven't really dealt too much with delays other than, but I did have someone that reached out to me the other day who's actually was being transferred by Amazon over here for the new distribution center that they're building out by the airport. So I was interesting that, okay, they're already moving employees in some kind of fashion for this project that they're building that's going to be a huge distribution center. So it's going to get it'll get even better for people in Hawaii. We don't have to wait 2 days at that point, 2-3 days.
Yeah, Jessica, we've been following Jessica's furniture odyssey. She's been here. They've been here for how long has it been now, Jess? It's been for a while. Anyway, they just got another piece of furniture. She was sending us photos. It was kind of cute. She was sending us photos when they had first moved into their place. They were living on patio furniture, which was kind of fun. Just got another piece of furniture, but have 3 more we bought in August that got pushed back to March. There you go. Since June. Okay, so you've had your 6-month anniversary. Good. God bless. Ray threw a comment here. We bought a resort zone condo in Waikiki and closed July 2020. Awesome, Ray. Scary at the time due to COVID, but exactly what Dylan said. Great move a year and a half later. Yeah, in hindsight, right, Ray? In hindsight, I was like, oh yeah, like Dylan says, I was a genius. But I didn't know I was a genius. And Scott, if I'm not mistaken, you were mentioning during the pandemic that the condo market in Waikiki was iffy. It was getting kind of crushed because all the vacation rentals were trying to sell, and it was a good time. You were mentioning it was a good time to buy a condo in Waikiki at the time. That's obviously changed now?
It has changed, yeah. I mean, I wrote an offer not too long ago for $100,000 over asking price in Waikiki. So the inventory even in Waikiki now is just it's disappeared on us. So yeah.
That whole
I just checked my records. I think Scott said that 75 times in 2020 that it's a good time to buy a condo. So
I said, "Where's the deal? You want a deal? Go Waikiki, buy the condo."
Yeah, and Ray took your advice, and he's got his resort zone condo in Waikiki. Awesome.
And can I add, it's still the place to buy because the international buyer's not back, and when they do come back, it's going to go up in price even more.
Yeah, those. It's really going to be. There's a lot of interesting parts about this whole. So it's a fun thing. But again, if you kind of stick with the fundamentals, work with some experts like Dylan, like Scott, and get your thing, you can kind of set up the right way. All right, let's move on. Going to take a quick station break over here. So if you're here and you're joining us, I'm glad that you're here. If you haven't already, if you've not gotten this invite from the newsletter from livinginhawaii.com, make sure you go to livinginhawaii.com. Thing's going to pop up after you're there for a few seconds, or click on the subscribe and put your email on the list. Make sure you get on the newsletter. We send out new content every week. And of course, you're going to get your direct invite to the show. So I urge all of you to get on. All right, let's hit. Well, first of all, before we continue, so I wanted to kind of give a thing for everyone. So we're 38 minutes after the hour. We're going to close the show on top of the hour. We had about 20 minutes left. If you got any questions, anything you want to know, whatever it is, whatever question or comment you got, put it in the comments now so we can kind of get to it. We're going to take your questions first. If there's anything else you'd like to ask, this is the time. We got to move on. I've got a couple of slides. We got some stuff that we want to go over, but I just want to give everybody a quick station notification. Put your comments in now if you want us to get to them. All right, let's hit our big topic here. So here's one that came in. I think it's kind of interesting to discuss. And this came in from Mina from Houston. Said, I'm a single mom making about $100,000 a year. What sort of lifestyle can I afford for my family? What sort of housing, neighborhood, which island would stretch my money the most and provide a solid education opportunities for my daughter, private schools included? So I think this is kind of like a typical kind of question that we get in. It comes in a variety of ways, but these are the parameters over here. So I like to kind of get sort of a perspective on that. And also, we have a lot of Islander Ohana alumni on the channel with us. How would you guys answer this to Mina? You've all, like, for example, Jess, you folks moved here from Texas. You've been here since June. What's your take on it? Auntie Joyce, you're well on your way to Kama'aina status over here. What's your take? Love to get you guys a perspective on it, in addition to Dylan's and Scott's. So, my first crack at this is, I say, Mina, right off the bat, if you're talking about, if we're talking about the money thing, which is what the majority of your post is about, I'd say right off the bat, the simple, easy answer is it's a 50% reduction in lifestyle quality. because we're talking strictly money. It's strictly material. It's half. You're gonna be half as good as where you're at now. And why? Because things in Hawaii cost twice as much on a purely financial basis. On a purely materialistic financial basis, it's cut. You're gonna do a 50% cut in lifestyle, according to material things. That's my quick answer. Let's do it. Let's go Dylan, and then let's go Scott. Dylan, how would you respond to Mina? How far? What's the best island? Private schools is possible, making $100 grand a year. Apparently, she has one daughter, so it's her and her daughter. What's your take?
Yeah, one island is hard because it depends on where you live on the island. I mean, if you live on the Big Island, you can buy cheap, right? You can buy $200,000 or $300,000 house, but you can also buy a $3 million house. So it kind of depends on where you want to be. There's not a lot of private school opportunities, but I think if you're just going to average things out, and you talk about private school, that's going to be $30K a year, probably at least, right? So you can take that off the top. Housing wise, you're talking $30 to $40K a year for housing, whether you're paying a mortgage or you're paying rent. So there's, now you're 60 to 70,000 into it.
So let me stop you right there. You're 60 or 70,000 into it, and if you're making $100 grand, if you take out taxes, you're left with 70. So you're at zero right now, and you've just paid for all you paid for is a private school and a roof over your head. No groceries, no gas, no transportation. Sorry, go ahead then.
I'm done. There you go. That's the easy math.
So I mean, and I don't mean to make fun of this. I'm not. But it's just funny when you kind of do all that, right? So think of it this way, folks. You're earning $100,000 a year, right? It's you and your daughter. You're earning $100 grand a year. If you got private school and a reasonable home to live in, that's it right there. That's as far as 100 grand goes. We're not talking groceries, car, nothing. Just so in a sense, Mina, which is kind of crazy, 100 grand is almost like a poverty life, almost, right?
It's very hard. I mean, in general, it's very hard to live off of a single regular income. And 100,000 may seem like a lot, but that's kind of a regular income here. And we see that, I see that anecdotally all the time with like my wife's young teacher friends. They move here to live the dream and live in Hawaii, and they might make 55, 60,000 a year, but they don't last very long because you can never, you have to be renting a room with a roommate, or renting a downstairs unit, so you can't get a house of your own. Really, you're priced out to ever buy anything. And so even if you have a pretty good career and a solid job, it's really hard to make it here on a single income.
I think as soon as you throw in, thank you, Sherry. Sherry says, Waimea, Big Island may be good for you in good school. Great. Waimea's got one of the best schools, but like Dylan says, you're looking at 30 grand a year if you can get in.
And any house in Waimea is $1 million plus right now.
And any house in Waimea is $1 million plus. So
yep.
Maybe, you might be able to rent a closet and that's about it. And not to make fun of this, but this is just the reality of the situation. Scott, how do you respond to Mina's question?
Yeah, I think the biggest complexity here is the private school component because it is so expensive. Oahu has some of the best private schools, but like Dylan said, you're roughly around 30,000 for every one of those, 25 to plus, right? So if you don't have to go to the private school, I think it's much more doable depending on your lifestyle. From a rental standpoint, let me just break this down for a second. 100 grand a year is 8,500 a month roughly. If you're going to rent, how they would qualify a renter is 30% of what that income is coming in. So you're looking at $2,700 a month, and that you would qualify for a rental. And that's doable. You can get a 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo. You can get a smaller, older home. And that 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo, I mean, you can even get that in Diamond Head. You can get that in some nice areas, Waikiki, Punch Bowl easily. So it's doable. And then but that's going to take the bulk of the cost right there, that component. And Heidi had mentioned this on a past episode. Your lifestyle, what you spend on your lifestyle component changes here. We've all discussed this. You're not buying the winter clothes. You're not having as much storage. The transportation's more affordable. A lot of the things you do are free because they're outdoor and nature based and things. So yes, it's a lifestyle adjustment, like you said, Peter. If you're trying to buy a home, it's going to cost you more. It's probably going to take half that income to be able to get into a quality place that you want, 2-bedroom and more.
Yeah, I think it's the private, like you said, Scott. I think the the answer to Mina is, Mina, you're going to have to give a private school. You as we kind of show you the numbers, just kind of, you know, back of the napkin kind of numbers. And you know, is it number one? Is it a 100K net, or is it a 100K gross? That makes a big difference, because I don't know what the tax rates are in Texas, but I know that the income tax rates in Hawaii are among the highest in the country. So you're going to be dishing out for that. But yeah, I think private school's out. It's essentially, if you kind of want to do the 100K lifestyle, is private schools out. Kinaya has kicked in. Public school is going to be our reality unless we hit the lottery. We'll supplement their education through everyday life, and I think that's the thing, Kinaya. I mean, that's what we're seeing a lot of actually these days. A lot of parents are doing the homeschool thing. Dylan, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to address the public school thing, because I mean, I think there must, I don't, you know, research the public schools in Hawaii online, but there must be a lot of bad stuff online because I get this question all the time. I just met with one of the watchers of the show who was here kind of doing a scouting trip to see if they want to make the move. And they had a lot of concerns about the public schools. And I mean, my kids go to public school. My wife's a public school teacher. Are they great? You know, maybe not, but I mean, they're not terrible. And really it comes down to the family, right? I mean, if your parents take school seriously, the kids will take school seriously. If there's accountability, the kids will learn, and you can put them in AP programs. There's all kinds of great programs right now where in high school you can graduate with an associate's degree and go right into your 2 years of college and get your bachelor's. I mean, there's all kinds of really good things in public school. So I wouldn't be afraid of it necessarily or discount it, but I think what you read online is probably not representative of what the public school system actually looks like. Do we have schools that are rough? Absolutely. But in most cases, the school reflects the demographics of the community that are there. So if you live in a nicer community, the schools are going to be better. You know, kids that are going to go in there are going to be from a different socioeconomic class. So yeah, I wouldn't discount our public schools at all. We have tons of kids that achieve amazing things every year that come out of our public schools. And so it's not like this feeling crazy system.
Yeah, I think that, thank you, Dylan, for giving us that sort of dose of reality. I think, you know, to put it in other words, your actual mileage may vary, right? Your actual mileage may vary. There's a lot of factors. It's not a universal thing. Look, one of my daughters, I mean, I put both of my daughters mostly through private school, but my younger daughter, she didn't like the private school experience in high school. You know, we went to 2 different public high schools, and very, very different experiences in those 2 high schools. Very, very, very different. Night and day. One was great, one was not so great, but it wasn't necessarily the school's issue. Anyway, Kinaya threw a quick comment here. Public schools in Hawaii are ranked higher than Texas. Well, there you go. So Kinaya, if you're in public school in Texas and you're moving to Hawaii, you're technically getting a little bit of an upgrade. And Auntie Joyce kicks in as an auntie to Dylan and Monica's boys. That's Monica is Dylan's wife. I can attest to the fact that the boys are really well-rounded and very bright. You know, Auntie Joyce, I would expect nothing less from Dylan's kids. I just would expect nothing less from Dylan's kids. Okay, we have a. Go ahead, Scott.
One last thing I've had, and I think this is a part of the planning and the preparation. If you're looking at moving over here, the question is, what are the schools like? Are they good? I've had several people that have come over here on a, I don't want to say house hunting trip, kind of get familiar trip where they take some time and they go and they walk the schools, they talk to people, they interview people so that they can see if they're comfortable with those schools or not. And that is on the public school side. So if there are questions, do your due diligence. All right.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. I mean, we have a thing in the Islander Ohana through the what we call the Hawaii Transformation Program, a structured program. This is we have in fact, our next cohort starts next week. We have a cohort of like 15 people that go through this process. It's a structured process. We meet every other week. And one of the things that we talk about is, I call it the unvacation. You take an unvacation to Hawaii. It's not a vacation, it's an unvacation where you have to kind of simulate the reality of it. And that's one of the things that we do. Yeah, so I think this is a really interesting piece, is that there's on a strictly financial basis, 100K, just strictly talking numbers. You have to drop private school, go to public school, therefore do your research. You're going to need to do your research anyway. Like Dylan says, what district are you going to live in on the Big Island? Are you going to live in the kind of like the middle of nowhere where you can get a home for $200,000, but you'll be living off grid, which means that, you know, if there's 2 weeks of no rain, you're going to have to live, you know, without electricity or anything for a little while, or you're going to live in kind of a modern society that has the creature comforts that we all come to rely on, like sewage, water, sewer, electricity, power, phone, etc. Jessica's got a thing here. Live on 50% of your income in Texas, save the other 50% towards a bigger down payment on the Hawaii home, and have a lower mortgage than you already have used to, living on less. I'm going to read that again. That's a great sentence. That's like the whole plan in one shot. So Jessica has summed it all up for us. Live on 50% of your income in Texas, save the other 50% towards a bigger down payment on the Hawaii home, and have a lower mortgage than you're already used to, living on less. Boom. There's you go right there, Jessica. You got it. That's exactly correct. Great advice. Excellent. All right. Before we move on, I got a good one from Charlene. Charlene is also one of the earliest alumni of the Islander Ohana. Charlene, they're great family. I've met them, and they're really cool. Charlene says, aloha and happy new year. All question: with the issues at Red Hill and the Board of Water Supply shutting down a few shafts, will there be an impact on the market for homes along that distribution line? So everybody, just to get everybody up to date on what's going on over here, there's been one of the water wells on Oahu. There's some concern. The Navy has fuel tanks nearby, and it is suspected that there's been some leakage of the fuel into the water supply. Now, this has shown up in a bunch of homes on a military base. So a bunch of homes on the Navy military base have been literally shut down. And there's been some other places on the military base that have been shut down due to tainted water. So there is some concern, big concern. There's all kinds of things going on back and forth. For example, the Hawaii Department of Health has asked the Navy to basically pull all the fuel out of those tanks. And there's some back and forth going on with that. So there is some concern. The Board of Water Supply has stopped pumping water from wells that are near that area. So all these things have occurred. I think the question that Charlene's got is, is that going to affect the market for homes along that distribution line? Scott, what have you heard about this?
I mean, you basically said it. It's only affecting the military housing right now. There hasn't been any on the public side that I know, that I'm aware of. So there isn't an effect at this point.
Yeah, there's no effect right now. Now, what effect there may be in the future, I think. Charlene, this is one of these things that we cannot foretell. That well, fundamentally, that water table there supplies a water, if I'm not mistaken, to like 3/4 of the island. So it ain't if that thing gets shut down, like really, really shut down, like totally shut down, where we don't pull any water from that area, we're all screwed. We're all screwed.
We're going to live with Dylan.
Yeah, we're gonna go live with Dylan, pull his water. No, I mean we got
plenty of water. We got plenty of clean water over here.
And gang, look, I'm sorry. I take that back. I say, we're screwed. That's overly sensationalistic. I'm going to take that back. It's going to have a potentially large effect. I don't think it's going to be that bad, but we don't know what it's going to be. We don't know at this point, right? We cannot say with certainty what's going to happen in the future. I'm going to hope it's not that bad. There's been a bunch of stories that, for example, the Navy has said, look, there was a contamination of the water, but it's not been from the wells. It's been from some other source. There was a contamination that came from something else. It's not like the well is fine, things like that. That has not been verified. So we don't really, it's still kind of a story that's in the middle of development. But to directly speaking, right now, Scott, you have not seen an impact on the real estate market, right? As of right now.
No, because there's no impact on the public side.
There's no yet. Yeah, there's no impact on because there's no impact on the public. Now, as soon as you hear the news, Charlene, that neighborhood X, and it won't be neighborhood X, it's going to be like half of Oahu, because a huge part of the water comes from that area. So you won't get like neighborhood X got affected. It's going to be like huge. So pray. That's what I got to say is pray. Travis, are there issues with having modular or manufactured homes in Hawaii? My plan has always been to buy the land, then close to retirement, get the modular or manufactured home on the land. We've talked about that a bunch of times, Travis, and I think that the general rule of thumb that everyone has always said, I'm gonna answer this quickly because we're running out of time. Look, the long and short of this, Travis, is that it's always better to buy a home on the land. Buying raw land and then hoping to develop is fraught with problems. You're probably not going to save a lot of money. There's a whole bunch of unknowns that you're going to have to deal with. If you're looking to live and buy a home, you know, buying land with a modular home, probably not going to be a cheaper way to do it. Probably much better, much more reliable to buy the home at, you know, as is or whatever, but buy a piece of property with a home on it. You can fix the house, you could tear the house down and rebuild it, but do not, but generally speaking, I'm going to let my friends chime in. You know what? The time has been flying. We had a lot of feedback over there. We need to move on over here. Let's move on to our diamonds and deals section, where Dylan has been at this cool property of his. Let's pull this up here. Where are we? We are right. I believe this is the one. Dylan, I'm going to throw this. He's on location. I mean, sorry about this, Dylan. We're going to go a little bit over. This is the first show of the year. You've all had some great comments. We're going to go a little bit over our time. Dylan, fill us in. What's going on? Where are you at? Give us the full scoop here.
Yeah, you can see that big tree behind me on the upper left. I'm sitting in that gazebo out right below that tree. But
okay, hold on a second. So that big tree, just to have some fun here. So that big tree on the upper left hand part here, right?
Yep, that's right behind me. You can see
that big tree is the one that's right behind you. Okay, so we know that. Yep. So that's how you have authenticated that you are on location. Fill us in.
Yeah, this is just a massive estate. 9 bedrooms, 9 baths. Just beautiful. That pool overlooks the Kona coastline. Just open concept. That the walkway, you walk through the front door and it opens right up into this huge living room and kitchen and the pool right outside. And this is a unique property because it's going to be on an auction. So Peter could probably share the link in the description, or contact me if you need representation, because you can have a realtor in the auction. And so the auction, I believe, starts on the 24th this month. They're just basically holding an open house every day. I got my whole team here looking at it today and marketing it for these guys. But unique opportunity where, this thing is listed for 7.7 million. It's probably worth somewhere in that neighborhood, but you could get it for a lot less if there aren't bidders. So hey, why not come in with 5 million if you got 5 million to spend? Two people just won the Powerball. So there's definitely 2 people out there that have some cash to spend.
And I would love to know what the current, because here's what, let me throw the property on here while we're talking. So this is a no reserve auction, right?
Correct.
So and I looked, I just posted the link into the comments so folks can take a look at it. They did not post what the current bid is. So
I believe they released that on the 24th. So the way it works is you submit a bid, a starting bid, and you do have to submit a deposit. And then on the 24th, I believe the auction begins, and then you'll see what the highest bid is. And if you want to rebid, you can. Got it.
You know what? So put in a bid in. So put in a bid for $100,000.
Give it a shot.
It's no reserve, right? Put in a bid for $100,000, or put in a bid for what would you be here? Let's do this right now, Dylan. Let's have some fun. Okay, so folks, let's do this real quick. Let's just pretend that you're going to buy this house, and let's try to pretend, I don't want any personal financial disclosures or whatever, but put in a bid like in the comments right now. It's not an official bid. We're just having fun. We're doing a fake mock bid. Put in a bid. What would you be willing to pay for this property right now? Right? If I said, look, you could have it, right? If the bidding was just between us, right? Put in a number that you could kind of make work, right? A number that you could make work. Put the number in. Let's see how high we could get the bidding. That's fun. Dylan, is there anything else you want to tell us about this property? It's amazing.
No, that's it. There's plenty of information online if you're interested. But
okay.
These are unique opportunities. People are looking for like the foreclosure opportunity or the short sale opportunity, which is not a lot of right now. And even if there are, it's very easily get outbid by somebody, with cash. But these are opportunities to get a deal, because you never know, right? I mean, there's not a lot of demand for these type of properties. I mean, there's not a lot of people looking for a 9-bedroom estate, but it's an opportunity for a good deal.
Okay, well, we got our first bid at 1.5, which quickly got outbid by Kinaya at 3. So we're at 3. Kinaya, put it in, man. If you guys can do it, go for it. You never know. There's sometimes these auctions, you never know what happens.
I do believe you got to have 100,000 liquid to put the deposit down. That's refundable if you don't win, but you do have to put 100,000 into escrow to have your bid considered.
Put $100,000 into escrow and get a $7 million property for $3 million, and then you can flip it and sell it for $5 and make a bundle.
Auntie Joyce is correct. I bet you this thing is $2,000 or $3,000 a month in landscaping.
Oh my God, the maintenance has got to be insane. Insane.
Yeah.
Kinaya, having to kidnap your rich brother-in-law, small price to pay. Small price to pay. Patrick says 5. Patrick, do it, man. Maybe do it. And Peter, maybe the Ohana courtroom could pool our funds and keep it for our meetings. Joan, my God, could you imagine going here for? Oh yeah, we're gonna have a meetup here. At a 9-bedroom, 9-bath. Well, we can fit 9. We could fit 18 cohort members, assuming two per bedroom. We have a lot of fun, and the cohorts are 15. That'd be a lot of fun. Oh my God, this is too much fun, gang. Here, let's talk about Scott, who's not to be outdone here with a North Shore with a unbelievable. Scott? What in the heck is this?
Yeah, so it's actually kind of funny. We don't talk about what we post in here, what we select, and I happen to pick a 9-bedroom, 9-bath house on mine for as well. So Dylan can get one Powerball winner. I'll take the other Powerball winner, and we'll call it good. This is so I picked this. I wanted to go for broke. It's the start of a new year. Let's go big or go home, right? This is 17.8 million. We actually sold this estate back in 2005, and it's now back on the market for sale. Somebody else has it listed, but this is an iconic property. It's the Sullivan Estate on the North Shore. If you're familiar with the North Shore, it overlooks that Miracle 7-mile area. You're up above Pupukea, right on the edge, but it's over 5 acres of land. You have basically 8,500 square feet of home. There's the main residence that's out front with the pools and things, but you have all these other pods that you can do things with. It's stunning. If you drive the North Shore and you look up from Pupukea, you'll see these 3 flagpoles with flags that are flying out there. That's the Sullivan Estate. That's what this property is. But it's just incredible. When you get out there on that pool deck area and you look, you can see all the way down to Cayena Point. And because sound travels up, when the waves are pumping and you're looking right down on Pipe and Sunset and Waimea, all the noise and the sound and all that sea spray that comes up in the air is it's stunning, but yet very quiet, very private, but quite the compound. So maybe we buy Dylan's for the cohort and this one, and we just go back and forth.
Who was Sullivan?
The Sullivan family. So Foodland family, right?
Okay. So the Foodland,
so funny. This place was built by the Merrills. Merrill Construction, and they're
on the Big Island,
family
right?
that did development all over the Big Island and some of the other islands too. So yeah, so this was their personal residence prior to them selling it.
Oh, really? Okay, so there's some interesting history behind this. I'll leave the picture. So there's some interesting history behind this property. So first of all, so folks who don't know, the Sullivan family is the family that Maurice, I believe, was the founder's name, Maurice Sullivan, I think it was. He started the Foodland grocery chain in Hawaii, which is an iconic. Foodland is Hawaii's supermarket basically, and all throughout the state. And so that was that, and that is the Sullivan family. And now, Dylan, you said the Merrill family was here first. They built it. They built this property, and then apparently they must have sold it.
The family that owned Merrill Realty, they were called the Richards were their name, but this was their personal residence they built, and that's why it's enormous. And they have, the construction is very Merrill-esque, and it was designed by Lucky Bennett, who was a very famous Hawaii architect. So
funny story. The Merrill family, actually, if you look right out here, used to own this property on Diamond Head Circle as well that they built. So everybody gets a little history tour of real estate. Dylan and I have been in the business for so long, we could kind of tell you old stories, who lived what, where. It's fun sometimes.
It makes me think of that George Clooney movie, the Hawaii George. I forgot what the name of that Hawaii. Quick trivia: what's the Hawaii George Clooney movie? Descendants. Thank you. Yeah. Kind of makes me think of that. There's like a history behind the whole thing. Auntie Joyce says, wishing you all a sunny, safe, and happy 2 weeks. Until next time. Yes, Auntie Joyce, we will see you next time. And Lynn Walker says, thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend. Yeah, gang, good fun. We're going to bring this one to a close over here with some of our closing thoughts. Why don't we do Scott and then Dylan, and then I'll find us a closing thought. Scott, give us your closing thought for this week.
Yeah, I'm back at 1,000 miles an hour already. I was up at like 4:30 this morning, cranking, going at it, which is a little out of the normal. And I was thinking back about my times playing soccer. I played soccer in college and stuff, and growing up as a kid. And this shaped me for who I am. But somebody said, practice makes permanent. Perfect practice makes perfect. And I could, like everything I try to do, whether I'm learning or whatever, I'm trying to do my best in the background when I'm learning, so that when I'm out executing whatever it is I'm doing, it's not difficult. It's, you know, you run that way and then you find, I don't want to call it perfection, but you work towards mastery. And that's one of the big things I live by. And I constantly push, and I love rolling up my sleeves and getting dirty and working hard.
Good one, man. Excellent. We got some comments over here from Christopher. Have an amazing weekend. See y'all in 2 weeks. Same bat time, same bat channel, buddy. And Ray, welcome back home. Great show. Good seeing you guys. Good seeing you, Ray. Welcome back. Dylan, what's your closing thought of the day today?
So new year, and you know me, I'm a big mindset guy. So what you believe is what you perceive, and eventually you will receive. So what you believe in your mind is super important.
Would say that that's a good. Can you repeat that again?
What you believe is what you will perceive, and eventually you will receive.
That is a good one, man. That is an excellent. So Tom, mahalo everyone. Good to be back. Good to have you back. Good to see you back. Yeah, excellent thought. Yeah, very good closing thoughts. I'm going to close with one. I don't get them all the time, but I found a good one on Proverbs that I really enjoy. It says, and this is for Kinaya. Actually, Kinaya, I thought about you. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a desire fulfilled is a tree of life. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a desire fulfilled is a tree of life. Yeah, and that is what it's all about there. So we own a home in Kailua. We own a home in Kailua. That's it. See, can I? God bless. Let's close it off, Erico. Mark says, working today, but listening with one ear. Good to see you all again, Mark. I'm so glad that you're back. And Patrick, mahalo to you. All right, folks, we're gonna all say goodbye to you. We're gonna see y'all in a couple weeks. We'll be back on the same bat time, same bat channel. Yeah, Kenai, I thought that you would enjoy that. Let's say goodbye counterclockwise. Scott, then Dylan, then me. Say goodbye, folks.
Happy New Year and aloha, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Happy New Year, folks. Happy New Year, folks. Aloha. Have a great one. See y'all in 2 weeks. Aloha.